All right, Adrian. Good morning to you.
Good
Or
morning.
good afternoon.
Afternoon.
What are you doing here in Germany?
Testing.
Please explain.
The Astra had blown the engine earlier up in the air during a rally with Jonathan, so it's the first time we've had it kind of put back together and running and everything. We've got some slightly different suspension on it, and it's just a chance to get a bit of seat time before we head out to Monte Carlo, assuming our entry is accepted.
Okay. Do you want to just give us a little overview of the car, what's been done or what hasn't been done? Let's step over to the car and take a look.
Well, it's very similar to what it was before. It's just got some different shocks on the front. It's the slightly lower shocks and suspension setup that we used in GB in '06.
Okay.
The rear is pretty much the same as it was in Finland, except it's been lowered a bit. So we're looking to see how it will perform and see if we need to go harder, softer, change the ride height a little bit. Basically just see how the car performs. It's been a while since I've driven it, and looking forward to doing it again.
Okay, good. All right, Adrian. Tell us about the test track here. Let's just kind of show. I'm looking from the left to the right here. We're standing up on a crest here.
It's a
What? I mean, but tell us why. I mean, is this a rally or what's going on here?
No, it's just testing. I'm not sure how they're able to do it, but Tobias and company were able to shut a piece of Germany to let us use it, which is absolutely incredible.
Okay.
We're here. There's another guy here with a Citroen as well.
Let's just pan around. Let's just see that. What is that car?
C2R2.
Okay. That's a pretty fast car. And then what have you got there to your left? What's that?
This is Tobias OPC.
Okay.
Very similar to ours. A couple of slight differences, but essentially it's another Group N OPC.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to drive that around today and just see how it compares to ours. This has a long history and long pedigree, and it's all properly sorted.
Okay.
And a few bits that we don't have and we'd really like, so it'd be interesting to compare the two cars.
I mean, what's the key differences between? Let me step back so you can see both cars. What's the main difference between the two cars?
The sticker on the back that says yes we can. Apart from that, he's got a mapped ECU, which we've always wanted and never actually had. So
Okay.
it's going to be interesting to see how much of a difference it makes to the feel, the throttle response, and just generally how the car behaves.
Okay. And also the fuel cell. Maybe just take a look at that. He's got a fuel cell in there. Right?
That's something we don't have. We still have the standard tank underneath the car. He's got the fuel cell in the back, which would help a little bit with the weight distribution, I would imagine.
Okay. Good. All right. Good. So, did you have a chance to see the stage? Do a recce or something of the stage?
Yeah, we kind of went through and did a few pace notes. It's got a little bit of everything. A couple of tight corners that can be cut, a couple of crests, a few little high-speed swiggles.
Okay.
So it's not particularly long, but it has a lot of different stuff in it, all kind of roll into a little 2-kilometer run. So
Okay.
kind of looking forward to blasting through there.
Okay. So you're going to be driving both cars then today?
Well, I'd like to think so.
Okay. All right. Good. Then, well, I guess will give us a report, when we kind of halfway through the testing and see how things go and
Will do.
what you've done to the car.
Okay, well,
All right.
looking forward to it.
Good. All right, John. See you.
Bye.
Wir müssen aber in jedem Gang müssen wir Grenzen drehen, ne? Ja.
All right, Adrian. So give us an update. You've done a little bit of testing. You've driven as a driver and a co-driver. So tell us what you did.
Well, I sat behind the wheel and I didn't sat behind the wheel. We drove a couple of runs in both directions with the car as it was arrived here this morning. Bump and high and low speed bump on minimum at the front. The car actually felt pretty good. The balance was nice and so on. There's a couple of muddy sections on the slow corners which the slicks didn't deal with very well, so that made it kind of interesting.
Okay.
We came back in and we've increased the high speed bump a little bit, and I don't feel much of a difference, but it's maybe a little bit sharper. But again, still feels pretty good. Then I sat in the passenger seat in Bernd's car,
Okay.
And he's got some wets on, and he's definitely able to brake a bit later on the road as is, and on the muddy sections be able to get back on the power a little bit quicker. So definite difference the tyres makes. The other thing is that that car has, I think, a slightly shorter final drive. And it just seems to be just a little bit quicker. Not much, there's very little in it, but marginally quicker. But the car is definitely sprung a lot harder than our car.
Okay.
And you can feel it when he cuts the corners. You can feel it banging over the curb as opposed to riding them inside the curb. So it's definitely a little bit harder than I'd feel comfortable with, I think. What we've done now is put his tyres on my car, and we're going to see how the wets do and see what difference that makes.
Okay. Okay, he's a champion driver, 2003 1 Group N Rally German Championship, and of course you've won a couple championships in your career. I mean, do you think there's anything you think he'll be challenging you? I mean, how do you? I mean, it's hard to say, but how do you compare him as a driver to you?
He's
driving style.
He's a lot more aggressive driver, and I think he's obviously a lot more. I think he's done a lot more rallies in Germany, so a bit more au fait with the conditions. He said that our car was actually sprung, definitely you could feel it softer than his, but he said it was very forgiving. And on a longer, rougher rally, he reckons that that would actually be a good thing, not a bad thing.
Okay.
So all in all, I think it's been a productive day. It's been a very enjoyable day. We kind of ran off the road once and had a few other interesting moments, but all in all, that's rallying, and it's absolute blast.
Good. All right, Adrian. So basically the suspension you've got on here, you've got a few tips from who gave you some tips on the suspension of this car?
It's not tips. It's the suspension. I personally wouldn't change anything. I'm actually quite comfortable with how the car is. It's not tail happy. It's not understeering. It just feels generally pretty good. So apart from maybe fine tuning shocks when we meet some maybe rougher roads, I wouldn't do anything different.
Okay, good. All right. So what's the plan for the rest of the day?
I don't know. We've got another couple of runs to do on the wets and see how that feels. The Citroen, which is also testing here today, they've broken an axle, so they've just gone to bring the car in. So they'll get that fixed, and then both of us will go back out, try again, and see how it feels.
Okay. All right. Well, enjoy, Adrian. I think that's the end of testing. They're changing the tires back over, but you had some wets on, and you tried the Kickastra, you tried the OPC with the wet.
If you look at these are what we had on at the start, and the mud and the wet areas, it was very, very slippery. You had to be very careful. This is what we had on for a couple of laps just now, and the difference in grip is huge. There's one corner that actually has mud and water in it, and it was a tentative, kind of very gentle first gear going around it, and the corner after was kind of on a trailing throttle. With these, it was absolutely nailed. And I actually tried a bit of left foot braking and tried to slide it into the mud. It didn't work. It was a bit of a dismal failure. But the thing is, I had the confidence and the level of grip to actually try it. So
Okay.
it's I think it's proved the point. The tyres I think make a huge difference.
Right.
The car feels pretty good. I wouldn't change a thing. I would just wait until in Monte Carlo. Assuming our entry is accepted, I would just go with just maybe adjusting the actual settings on the shocks to deal with the conditions that we find there. But as far as spring rates are concerned, I'm happy with the car as it is. It's quite forgiving as far as ride is concerned. It takes some fairly harsh bumps without unsettling the balance of the car, and I'm very happy with that.
Good. Okay.
So,
All right.
Monty, here we come.
Okay. Good, Adrian. All right. So the $1 million question is, did you enjoy this event, this little thing here?
No, I'm really upset. I'm so heartbroken. Yeah! It's fantastic.
Okay, cool. Cool. It was good credit to.
And him.
And who's
And
this?
him.
Adrian, who's this here?
This is Bernd. Opel extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Opel driver extraordinaire.
Okay.
Yes,
So
we
Bernd,
Yes, we can.
yeah, Bernd took you in his car, right, and for a little drive.
Yeah, he's like I said, he's a very aggressive driver. But he's familiar with out here, and he's at one with the car. So hats off to him, man. I would sit down next to him anytime.
Okay, cool.
Great guy.
All right, good,
Great
Adrian.
driver, great guy.
Good. All right, so next time I guess we'll be talking in Monte Carlo, I guess.
Hopefully. And here now the Citroen, they've got their axle changed, so they're going out and doing some testing as well.
Right. Okay.
So all in all, an excellent day was had by all, and here's looking to more good times.
Okay. Before we go, let's see the Tobias in his usual form. It's got a bunch of coffee and all that. Show us the
So hi to Jörg.
the obscene.
Jörg.
It's very fantastic with you two guys.
Yes,
They love
same
it,
with
man,
you.
they love it.
And then Tobias usually has.
There's Tobias.
Okay.
Smile.
And then we have
Check all this out.
all this out. We are under very extremely poor conditions. Tell us what you.
fantastic. Well, imagine that. We had to struggle underneath the tent with food and coffee and drink and all this fantastic service. It's amazing. Imagine suffering under those conditions.
Yeah, it was a terrible suffering, wasn't it?
I tell you.
Okay, all right, Adrian. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thank you for taking the car to its proper limits, as opposed to what the co-driver tried to do a couple months ago.